Hey everyone, hope you're all having a lovely day today. Today I wanted to talk about something that I feel like I hear people say a lot, and it's not necessarily something that I would agree with per se, which is this whole thing of, oh, God won't give you more than you can handle. And I feel like God, I feel like it's almost like a yes and no. I feel like God will sometimes give us more than we can handle to show us that he can handle it. You know, as humans, I feel like we need to remember how small our strength really is, or how weak our strength really is. How small our strength? I don't know what the proper... I feel like there are some times where we'll look at a situation or some sort of something and we'll be like, oh, I can handle it. I got this. You know, I'm fine. I don't need any help. And then all of a sudden the situation will happen. We'll find out that we're very not fine, and it's very humbling. And I sometimes feel like God will give us those situations that we can't handle, almost strengthen our faith in God. You know, I remember at my old job, which if you guys have been here long enough, you guys have heard about this and you know how much I hated it. It was at a music store, it was in retail, and I would be sitting in the parking lot with my hands on the wheel like, I want to go. We can have a whole conversation just about that alone, but the point that I wanted to make was there were so many instances where we would be understaffed. Like, when I tell you that we were understaffed, like almost every shift that I worked, like we were understaffed almost every shift that I worked, and I worked 5 days a week. And also at this store, it was a music store, everyone had their own specialty, and my specialty was in band and orchestra because I, played those growing up. So I was very well versed in that area, but I was not well versed at all in drums or guitars or keyboard and pro audio, which were the other sections. And I knew nothing about any of those concepts, but constantly I was told, Jack, go sell for those. And I would dread going to shifts because I just wouldn't know anything about the other, things. I would be like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be yelled at by customers. I'm going to be screamed at. And yeah, that happened quite a few times where I would just be trying to help a customer and I wouldn't know what to do because I wouldn't be trained in that area, but I had to sell to them because there were only so many of us working in the store. Like, there would be some days where we wouldn't have anyone in pro audio at all, and I would be expected to sell for that. And these were 110% situations that I could not handle. However, by God's grace, I got through them. I'm still here today. I remember specifically, and I kind of wanted to make this more so the point of it rather than the fact that I had just had to sell to things that I didn't know. But there were times in which we would only have 2 or 3 people working in the store, and you were usually supposed to have at the very least I guess 4, but even that was horrible. It was terrible working with only 4 people. It was at our best. We had, I think, 6 salespeople in total in the store. And that was really the only time that we ever felt like everything was running smoothly, but that only happened, I think, once or twice a week that we had all 6 people there. And I remember there were a few instances where on Saturday, which was our busiest day, it would be me. I remember there were a couple times where it was me and I think one of my other coworkers or 2 of my other coworkers. And if it was 2 other coworkers, they were in the same department. I definitely remember there were a few times where there were just 2 of us. And holy freaking crow, I went into those shifts I'm not even kidding, almost crying, or I was up the night before God, please, 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 please send a snowstorm so we can just be closed. And obviously that didn't happen. I ended up going into the store anyway, and it would just be me and other person. By God's grace, he would get us through. For some reason on those days, I remember thinking wow, things are almost going smoothly today. And it would just be me and one other person there. And yet it was our busiest day. It was Saturday. Everyone was there. But by God's grace, that day, maybe more people had patience for us. Maybe more people were asking for things that, I did sort of understand, the basics of. Because you guys know that I was selling to those other departments on those days. And I remember literally on those shifts just being wow, God, there is every reason in the world why we should have just crashed and burned that day. But somehow, by God's grace, we made it through. Sometimes it ended up even going smoothly. There's just no way that God wasn't you know, doing something about that. So the point of today's video, I feel like it almost turned into a story time, that I want you guys to understand, and I think a lot of you guys do, but if you're in a situation where you're like, wow, I feel like I cannot do this, I cannot handle this, why do people keep telling me that God's not going to give me something that I can't handle, yet I feel like God is doing that right now? I believe that sometimes God will give you situations or put you in situations that you cannot handle just to simply show you that He can. I believe He will give you the grace to get through those. So I really hope today's video helped whoever needed to hear this. I'm sorry, again, it kind of ended up turning into a story time about my old job. If you guys ever have any comments, questions, or concerns, do not hesitate to leave a comment down below or shoot me an email at my email address. Also, let me know of any prayer requests you guys have. Also, I have an Instagram for this channel where I sort of give updates and make fun little fancy and artsy Bible verses. That'll be down here if you want to follow that, if you feel so inclined. And as always, have a lovely rest of your day and God bless.